All right, let me see how this
Have
looks.
you used the jingle maker?
Oh, jinglemaker.ai is real?
Yeah.
Turn websites
It's
into
a demo
music.
we built.
This is the stuff we want to see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we got to talk about. Jingle makers
100%.
with ElevenLabs.
Oh, we can paste the Glif URL
Yes.
into jinglemaker.ai.
Exactly.
We'll get a jingle,
And then let's
automatic.
make it a rap or something.
All right, let me make sure we are live in all of the places while things are kicking up here. Pew, pew. Do, 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 do. And let me check YouTube. Hey guys, welcome. If you are joining us in the chat, please let us know you are here and say hello. We're going to get started officially in just a few minutes here.
So Thor, where's your conference?
It's at the Midway in San Francisco. Yeah, I just flew in last night. I'm going to be here for the rest of the month, actually. There's a bunch of stuff happening. It's like Next.js Conf, tomorrow's Ship AI. Friday is CalHacks. Well, the entire weekend is CalHacks. And then next week is GitHub Universe. So, yeah.
Very cool. You got a busy schedule, but you're usually based out of London or?
No, I'm now actually, I moved to New York City.
Very nice.
But yeah, only like 2 months ago, I moved from Singapore.
And then
Is that a big adjustment?
Yeah, the time zone is just like, so I had been in Singapore for like 6 years at that point. And like, I just gotten really used to the time zone, like being kind of in the future. So like when you wake up, everyone else is asleep. And you just have like a chunk of time until like even Europe wakes up and you can just get your work done. And now in New York, it's like even you wake up at 6 a.m., like Europe has already been up for a couple hours and they're like screaming at you. Like,
it's tough. You no longer have the advantage of getting all the work done before everyone gets up.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, I very much prefer waiting on people than being waited on.
I think
Solus
that is a
FX in the
universal
chat.
experience.
Yeah, Solus FX in the chat is asking, I'm heavily considering moving to New York next year from the UK. Would you recommend it?
I mean, from the UK, yes. From Singapore, no.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Let's actually get rolling. We got a decent amount of people in the chat. I know a couple of us just retweeted the live on our X's, so I'm sure more people are going to roll in and just be viewing if they're not active in the chat. Guys, welcome to GlifTV episode 9. It only took us 9 weeks to get our first guest in here, and we are off with a bang because we have one of the goats from ElevenLabs here. This is Thor, who is part of developer experience over at ElevenLabs. Thor, why don't you go ahead and tell the people who might not know who you are and what you do, and then we will get rolling and we'll find out all the things we want to find out about.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Thor, or Thorsten for the Germans, as we found out. Fabian is also German. I work on the developer platform or developer experience at ElevenLabs. So broadly, the APIs, the client libraries, the documentation, the content, the community, a lot of pillars in there. But yeah, if you are building, like Glif, for example, if you're building with the ElevenLabs APIs, do you have feedback? You can find me at Thor Web Dev. That's where I'm at. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. So I guess the place where I always like to start with these before we dive into what you're currently doing right now and kind of like where everything is going and getting into the weeds with some of the more nerdy stuff we all want to talk about. How did you find yourself at ElevenLabs, and kind of what was your history leading up to that, and how did you land in AI where you are right now?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think a lot of it actually goes back to my early Stripe network. So I actually kind of joined Stripe early on in Dublin in like late 2015. Stripe back then was just short of 300 people globally, but like the team in Dublin was 15 people in like a co-working space next to the Guinness Brewery on Thomas Street. Shout out to Dublin if anyone's there. And so yeah, really a lot of so I joined Stripe in the kind of account support. So I joined to build out the German speaking support team until they found out my German is actually not that great. No, joking. So that was great, kind of joining in a support role, really sort of getting to see, how are people using the product, where developers struggling. And so a lot of my, sort of learning and schooling kind of comes from early Stripe, sort of really obsessing over the developer experience, the documentation, and using, basically the developer experience and documentation as a marketing tool. So, early Stripe didn't have any traditional marketing whatsoever. It was just like, let's build the best developer experience we can, and people will talk about it. And that's kind of exactly what happened. And so actually, I ended up moving with Stripe. So after Dublin, I was building out a lot of the customer-facing engineering teams for Stripe across Europe. So I moved to Amsterdam, kind of built up the office there. And then actually ended up moving to Singapore in 2019 to kind of do the same for Stripe, sort of build out developer relations, customer-facing engineering for Stripe in across APAC. Didn't know anything about APAC at that time. It's very funny because APAC is such a random grouping. There's so many different worlds within APAC, which was just eye-opening to kind of learn the different developer communities. Japan, for example, is very much its own world. There's things that work in Japan that don't work anywhere else, and kind of vice versa. But then actually got lucky that kind of during COVID in Singapore, Supabase was starting up. And so I got introduced to Paul and Ant, who founded Supabase in Singapore during COVID. And initially was just kind of mentoring and sort of applying a lot of the, Stripe developer experience learnings to Supabase. And we, got very lucky timing-wise that sort of what we were building resonated and the community embraced it. And so I, worked on Supabase for kind of the last 4 years before joining ElevenLabs in January. And again, got introduced to ElevenLabs through former Stripe colleagues. So a lot of it goes back to kind of the Stripe mafia, what we call it now. But yeah, so for me, I'm German originally, but have been living abroad for the last 12 years. My wife is Taiwanese. I'm trying to learn Mandarin. So there's a lot of languages in my life. And I used to make music. I used to have a band back home in Germany, and we're actually still on Spotify. If you find it, I'll send you a cap or something. But
you gotta drop the link. You gotta drop
that
the link
combination
below
of
this video.
Yeah. So like that combination of languages, audio, AI, and APIs, that was kind of all the things sort of I care about. And so I found that within ElevenLabs, and I was like, hey, that is pretty exciting. And yeah, we've been growing very, very quickly over the last kind of 10 months. We actually tripled the team. Since then, we're launching across Latin America as well. I just came back from Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I think the coolest part listening to that is probably drawing parallels of just from like the vast amount of people I've been fortunate enough to speak to within like the AI world, how no one's kind of like path to where they ended up is linear, but a lot of the people doing the coolest stuff kind of took all their experiences prior to AI and found the different ways to apply it and bring it all together. And those are the people that seem to really be driving the like meta culture of where the creative side of this is all going, whether it's from the visual side, the image side, or the audio side. So it's super cool just to see how like all the prior non-AI experience compiles into what everyone is now benefiting from.
Yeah, I think actually it's interesting because sort of, I guess the AI stuff kind of accidentally came as we were building Supabase. People were like, oh, we need embeddings. We need to store embeddings in Postgres. And we're like, what's going on? What are embeddings? And so it was actually sort of a pull from within the community. The community was starting to build AI applications, and they were asking for all these features. And we were like, okay, what's happening? So let's learn about this. And so, yeah, I'm, nowhere near to kind of the level of the research engineers, and like there is some very, very smart people here at ElevenLabs. So like, if you don't know about ElevenLabs, we're both a research, AI audio research as well as deployment company, and so there is an incredible research team that is kind of building and training these models, things that I barely understand, but I sort of understand how to create a good experience for the broader developer community. And, there's so many different shapes and sizes of developers across, web, mobile, now hardware, sort of looking into that, games, like all these communities have very, very different needs. And so kind of taking all the amazing things that the research team has built and sort of making that accessible to all these different developer communities, that's sort of where I've specialized. And yeah, it's really amazing to kind of work with such smart people. And, half of the things I don't understand, but when we work together and sort of make it, accessible for the broader developer community, some really magical things happen.
And how long have you now been at ElevenLabs, like full force?
Sorry, I think my Wi-Fi is a bit wonky here. I'm just at the conference. Did you ask how long I've been at ElevenLabs now?
Yeah, so how long now have you been at ElevenLabs?
Yeah, so I joined in January, earlier this year. I joined remotely from Singapore at that time, and then I've moved to New York kind of 2 months ago. So I think it's kind of 10 months now. But honestly, I feel like the last 4 months feel like the last 4 years in terms of the amount of things that have happened. It's just wild. You know that yourselves, like you're putting out so much amazing stuff.
The time definitely, I don't think any of us, the time in this current tunnel that we're all sitting in is definitely accelerated, where something go on, Fabian.
Sorry, I just want to say I remember my first time using ElevenLabs, and that was probably like late 2022. Is that possible? Was it around then already?
Mm-hmm.
Late 2022.
Yeah, very early. It officially launched in early 2023.
Yeah. It must have been around then. And there was this like moment in time back then where all of the stuff was coming together for the first time, right? Like you had the first you could play with GPT-3 in the OpenAI playground. You had Stable Diffusion 1.5. You had Midjourney version 2 or something, or version 1. And I remember playing with a whole bunch of audio tools as well. And none of them were kind of like quite there on the same level as, say, that moment of using Midjourney for the first time. And I'm talking version 2, like if you look at it now, it's kind of like, oh, we were impressed by that. But yes, we were very impressed by that. And the same with like large language models, like we were super impressed by that, even though if you look at the outputs now, you're like, I don't know about that. And then I remember specifically the moment I used ElevenLabs the first time and cloning my voice with it. And I was completely blown away by the quality of the output and like just how close it had gotten to my actual voice. And that must have been around that time. So it was kind of like if we categorize AI eras in not by years, but rather by GPT versions and Midjourney versions. It was Midjourney version 2, GPT-3, that era. And so ElevenLabs was the first sort of these like audio generation tools. It was like, holy shit, we're going to get all the modalities. And now we have voice as well. And so that was very exciting. And it's been sort of really great to see how the product has developed since. So, and we're obviously like avid users and want to talk to you about all the things that you've built and that are in the API that now sort of like everyone can build with. Because so you're doing DX, which used to be this more narrow role, and but we now have like not, I don't know, 50 million developers in the world. We have a billion developers in the world, so that role has probably changed quite a bit. Don't you think?
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's funny because you're mentioning sort of the GPT-3 Midjourney 2 era. It feels like the 90s now. It's like it feels so far away, doesn't it? And yeah, no, I think definitely with like all the AI assisted coding and vibe coding tools, the lines are blurry now. Developers, there's a lot more, not necessarily developers, but a lot more builders kind of coming online. And so I think for us as well, we've been partnering with, Lovable, V0, Cursor, kind of all these vibe coding tools. And yeah, I think it's incredible now how these tools are empowering just the next generation of probably the next billion builders kind of using these tools. And so yeah, it's interesting because I think if we're looking at sort of developer experience or developer relations as a role, now everyone is hiring for it. It's pretty wild because not too long ago, Swix sort of had this prediction like, oh, DevRel is dead, which didn't mean it just evolved, and now it's like it's back with a vengeance because all these tools, need to be connected, and like developers are sort of building the next generation of tools, and a lot of more builders are coming online. So yeah, it's a great time to be building in this space.
Do you see, like, I'm curious about the breakdown between ElevenLabs API users, like what percentage is vibe coded, what percentage is trad coded? Can you tell?
Yeah, not exactly in terms of the percentages. I mean, to be honest, like the largest usage of API is kind of, bigger enterprise users, or,
For sure.
folks like you as well, that are building like really, really great products in kind of the media and entertainment space. And so a lot of that usage that is coming through the API in terms of kind of the volume of requests is coming from, more traditional developers and highly skilled developers. But I think just in terms of the sheer amount of users sort of just building sort of personal projects and, adding kind of voice to their applications where probably in the past they would have never even attempted to, add voice or like real-time voice agents to their products. And now basically it's just one prompt away. And so, yeah, I think in terms of total usage of requests, it's not that high just yet, but I think in terms of like the amount of people that are coming online and sort of their applications, just having these very advanced features are growing incredibly.
Yeah, I think like some of the most interesting use cases I've seen with ElevenLabs, right, is using something like N8N, or even we'll show off a Glif agent right now where people are automating the entire like content generation pipeline to make like faceless TikToks or faceless YouTube videos, and they're generating like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views, right? It's like absolutely mind blowing. The other thing that I think is like super interesting is the music APIs like starting to come online right now, right? So I guess one question I have is like just an abstract way to put it. If you were to say like V1 is like the first version of like Midjourney, of 11Labs API where it's at right now, like or like yeah, on that Midjourney timeline, V1 to V6, where would you say like 11Labs music is right now, and like how good can it get?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, I just saw this comment of like Thor's voice is extremely tinny. I'm very sorry. Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi. You know, it's not, the equipment is good. I got my microphone there, and like, but unfortunately the Wi-Fi is failing me. I'm sorry about that.
It sounds pretty
maybe we
good
can do something
over
in
here.
post.
I don't know if it's like an issue with the stream, to be honest.
Okay, we'll see now.
I think
It might be my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, sounds
But,
good. Sounds good to me.
Okay, nice. That's good. No, so I think, yeah, in terms of that timeline, 11 Music is definitely very early. And so I think one thing that's interesting, it is an industry first in the sense that it is fully licensed. So the entire catalog of training data is actually fully licensed. So we worked with our music industry partners and music label partners to license the entire catalog of training data. So we didn't train on any copyrighted material that we didn't have licenses for. So that is obviously, that limits kind of the amount of training data that we have and the amount of training that we can do for this model. So initially we thought, you know, we just use this for like background music and soundscapes, and, you know, because just the amount of data we had was so limited. But as we're kind of, you know, doing more training runs, we realized the model was getting actually really, really good in terms of, you know, even generating vocals and lyrics and music that actually stands kind of on its own. But I think it's still very, very early days. And so, yeah,
That's
I think
super impressive to hear. I didn't know that it's like all fully licensed. It's like I personally was blown away by it because it's the first music model that feels pretty state of the art, but is available via API. And like obviously at Glif, we're all about APIs because whenever a cool new API drops, then we want to make it part of like Glif and have it like as a block that people can play with and build with and sort of make it very, very easily accessible. And so that was the first one. Like for me, that was like a Christmas style day when the 11Labs music API dropped. It was like, finally, we have a cool music API that we can use inside of Glif. And to know that it's like actually all licensed is very impressive and a testament to the engineering chops and the model training that had to go into it, because I guess it's easier to do great models when you just throw a lot more data at them, and gets harder when you have limited data to work with. So that is pretty cool. Fully licensed music.
I think what could be a cool segment right here. Oh yeah, is you mentioned the 11Labs jingle, right? And we don't have a Glif theme song or Glif jingle. So maybe live right now, we can test out the 11Labs music API and make a Glif jingle.
Do we want to do that on the jingle side by
awesome.
11Labs or in like a Glif agent?
I think start with the jingle maker and then
Actually,
we can go to the agent.
Cool.
Let's do both. Yeah, let's compare.
Do you want to share the jingle site, Tyler? I don't think I have the URL.
Okay, it's in the little private chat thing. If you just pull up the little private chat, it's right there.
Let me open that, and then I'm gonna share my screen with audio, which is like always important when we're on this stream because the software we're using will only let me share the audio for one tab or the entire system. And if I do the entire system, we're gonna be in an infinite loop. So this is a custom little app that 11 Music put out, which says turn websites into music. Our AI Jingle Maker transforms web content into catchy, memorable tunes, perfect for marketing and branding. And so we're going to start with obviously glyph.app. And so we get to
Do a
pick
funky
radio
rap.
ads, Madison Avenue, dramatic Midwest farmer, funky rap. Let's do a funky. You want a funky rap, Thor?
Yeah, please.
Let's do it. Okay, so
Wait.
it's
So real quick, Fabian, before we go any further with this, is this site public for people right now?
Yes. So
It
that's
is.
a demo that we built to show you kind of what you can build with the ElevenLabs Music API.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to drop the link for this in the chat for anyone who wants to try it out that has not tested out jinglemaker.ai by ElevenLabs yet. Sorry, Fabian. Carry on.
So we see it go through the motion of grabbing our site and the contents, and then it's now presumably putting together the lyrics and the composition plan. And we'll get to talk about the composition plan in a bit. But now, without further ado, let's see what it's gonna do for glyph.app. And I hope you hear the audio. If not, please scream immediately, and I'll have to reshare my screen.
We hear it.
Step in the groove, let your body ride. Funky break beats, take you on a glide. Glyph sparks the flow, AI on the side. Build it, agent, no code design. Build it, agent, no code design. Agents on deck, they align and refine. Creative collab, powered by Glif Shine. Automate your vision, watch it uplift. Themes, workflows, all in one gift. Everything flows smoother with Glif. Glif.
Very cool.
That's
That's quite neat.
Yeah, this is great. This is pretty good. And so you get to sort of like pick different types of presumably prompts for the model.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, really nice. I love how, like some of the earlier music models, like they always had this somewhat if you like into music making, you'll know what I mean, like this I don't know how to pronounce it, the comb reverb, or like this comb filter. It's called a comb filter. So you get this kind of like very weird it almost sounds a bit like these early MP3s, when you like downloading at a low sample rate, and so you get these like really unpleasant high frequencies. In particular on the voices, you always get this like very weird autotune style effect, which isn't really autotune, but more of an artifact of compression. And I think like what impresses me a lot about ElevenLabs music is how it does not have any of that. So it kind of like, even Suno had that in version 3, right? And so you guys kind of leapfrog that situation and went straight to very crystal clear lyrics and none of that comb filter weirdness. So I love that. It's really good.
Yeah. No, it's impressive. The team has done an incredible job at like combining sort of, the years now in like the speech synthesis and making that sing and like combining that with the music. Yeah, it's really incredible. I think we also just launched the in painting, so you can actually like sort of like a DJ set sort of mix the song into another style. It's still quite expensive to run, so I think it's somewhat limited for now. But yeah, I think this will. So still early days on the music side, but yeah, it'll go pretty far, I think.
What's your favorite function on the platform? Like what either impresses you the most about what it is you guys offer, or what do you find yourself using the most?
Yeah, I think the great thing is that there's a very wide breadth of things. So like for me, I created a lot of kind of educational videos and content, right? And so, even just like dropping it in and like generating subtitles for my videos, or like dubbing videos into like different languages to have like different audio tracks on the YouTube videos for like different audiences. So I think those are sort of like the basics that we had quite early on. I think the other thing is just like what I really love I get to travel quite a bit and sort of give workshops, in different countries. And like when you're in Brazil, like you can't roll up with like a Portuguese voice. Like you need a Brazilian Portuguese voice, right? Or like in Buenos Aires, you can't have like a Spanish. You need like an Argentinian Spanish. And so I think like just the breadth of voices on the platform, and also I think like what I love is that we kind of approached it in sort of this marketplace approach where actually anyone can clone their voice and publish it on the marketplace. So if you go to the voice library and you put in German engineer, you'll find my voice. And anytime you use my voice, I earn royalties. And so, I like that we kind of approached it in sort of this communal way to actually bring in the creatives and like have them be part of the AI process, allow them to use this as a tool as well. If you're a voiceover actor, you might not speak, Portuguese, but now you got your voice clone and now you could take jobs, in Portuguese, just using sort of the multilingual models. And so I think that's really important to us, sort of like to, build this technology in a way where it's inclusive. And I think also the impact program. So we have this impact program where we work with people that have lost their voice due to illness. So, for example, in the later stages of ALS, people lose their voice. And so there's actually this one example of a stand-up comedian who lost their voice due to ALS. And we worked with him and his family to clone his voice and basically give him his voice back. And then he went back on stage to do a stand-up comedy set with his voice clone. And that, yeah, so like to, kind of the human touch to technology, hopefully. Sort of that's what we're trying to do and kind of include, the musicians, the creatives, the voice actors kind of within this process.
I'm actually glad you kind of mentioned that because today I actually dropped a video on my Instagram and I got a comment that says, because it's like a tutorial, right? And there's somebody that commented en español, por favor, which is in Spanish, please. And so now that you mentioned that, I'm like, okay, maybe I should make a Spanish account and just like translate, even though I speak Spanish, but it'll be way faster if I just do it in one language and then just have it do it like automatically for me. And that would spread the net a lot more and be able to help those people that can't speak, that don't speak English or struggle to speak English.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty funny actually. My voice clone now speaks better German than I do.
This actually this giving me an idea for an agent that we should do that. Just like you just like pipe in a YouTube video that you've done, and you request like a specific language, and it's just gonna sort of do the whole thing, get the video, use the right voice ID that you've sort of given it for your specific voice, clone it, and then redo the video, stitch it together, send it back to you so you can and maybe even at some point, it can't do that yet, but upload it to YouTube as well. That's going to be pretty sick. Do that all automatically.
Yeah, so we actually have a dubbing API that does kind of most of that.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. So you send in, can you send in video and you get
you can send in the YouTube URL
out. That is pretty cool. That's awesome. We're going to integrate that. I think there's a bunch of products we're not integrating yet. Like we do have like your I think it's the version 2 voice, or like it's not the latest one. It's not the alpha. I think you have an alpha of version 3. Is that correct?
So 11v3 is now publicly available, so it's out of alpha. There's certain parts of the product that it is not yet available. So like, for example, if you're streaming speech, like we don't have the Flash model yet. It'll follow soon. But so for v3, we don't have the Flash model yet, and it's not yet integrated into our agents platform. So like the the voice agents, the real-time conversational agents, they currently use the 11 V2 Flash model,
Right.
but
Yeah.
that is very, very close to being upgraded to V3.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
just before the stream, I was looking through the ElevenLabs docs, and there's I mean, every time I come to that website, there's more products and more features available. For example, there's text to dialogue is an API that we don't have on Glif yet, but like I want it on Glif, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to add it tomorrow, because I've got an agent that I've been working on that does filmmaking style outputs, and I'd love to get some more authentic sounding dialogue in there than what VO 3.1 can do. So definitely keen to try that API, the text to dialogue one.
Yeah, that's a great one, and I don't think we've done a good job yet of advertising that. That's a good reminder. Yeah, so the text to dialogue actually allows you to generate kind of multi-person podcasts in like one API request, which is okay. We should shout about that more.
So Thor, you mentioned that your ElevenLabs voice, your voice is on the ElevenLabs marketplace. I actually found the voice ID, and I made an agent that's gonna make a faceless TikTok video if we want to try it out right now live on stream using Thor's voice.
Stream it.
Let's do it. All right. And you're gonna get royalties from this too, right? So you're gonna get paid.
Yes.
Cool. So here I have the agent builder pulled up. Can everybody see this all right?
Zoom in like once or twice.
Yeah. 1, 2. Boom. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
good.
cool. All I did in the agent builder was I said always use this voice ID on ElevenLabs, which is of course Thor's. So I'm just gonna spin up a new chat right here, and I'm gonna have the agent. I'm gonna ask it, let's generate a short video about a piece of history. And so it's going to give me, so the purpose of this is I saw this faceless TikTok account that had like 22 million views in aggregate doing like these dark style animation videos that were purely generated with ElevenLabs and using some type of video model and stitching them all together in post. And so I wanted to make the agent where I can just put everything together and kind of chat with it and get it done. So let's see, it gives us all these different viral worthy historical concepts. Does anybody have one that, so we have worst job in ancient Rome, prisoner who became an emperor, the knight that changed history. Anybody?
I think we have to do the worst job in ancient Rome.
Okay, worst job in ancient Rome. Okay, so this agent's going to search the web with perplexity to figure out more of this so it doesn't hallucinate and give us some like BS bogus answer. So boom, it tells us that Roman banquet vomit cleaners were slaves who crawled under tables during feasts, cleaning up vomit and waste, while wealthy Romans continued eating above them. Okay, cool. Well, very interesting.
I think it's going to run into moderation issues when it's trying to generate the video. But
I think it's amazing that there was enough of that it needed to be a job.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
So so it generated the 4 scenes right here. Let's just go ahead and generate the images. So the agent's now going to, I think this is using Seed Dance or Seed Dream. I can't remember the name of the image model from ByteDance. But it's going to make like the 4 scenes. And the ElevenLabs API is going to come on in the next scene. Okay, so we have like the different images right here. Of like the Roman people eating very lavishly. The person cleaning below.
Oh, this poor man.
He's just very sad having to clean up the vomit. And yeah, cleaning up this like vomit hall. Looks like they're like vomiting, puking into this like courtyard. Okay, cool. So the next, after we like think these images are all pretty good, and honestly, they look pretty solid, like this animation style, this like dark animation style, it's going to make the script and the animation and the voiceovers. So because I don't know how long, because of the different voice IDs will mean different lengths of scripts, and we need the voiceover to be 10 seconds long, I'm going to say generate and go ahead, but make each voiceover only 10, we'll say 12 words, just to make sure that it's the right consistency or the right length, so there's no like overlap. Okay, cool. So now this is where the ElevenLabs text-to-speech comes in. And so you can see the agent like concurrently will go in. It looks like it only made them 3 seconds long. So I'm going to actually pause the execution. And I'm going to actually go back and iterate until it, can you actually make it 20 words long for each voiceover?
Is this a remix of the miniature history one, Miguel?
Yeah, it's a remix of yours. I spent
Because that one
yesterday in
does
the
it
evening.
automatically. Like what it'll sort of figure out like how long the audio should be unless you change that, and then it'll also sort of fix the audio until it's kind of the exact length. That's actually like an interesting problem, Thor, from a sort of DX perspective. It's kind of like, because one thing, and I've been doing this type of sort of agent a lot, where like we'll generate audio and speech for a specific length of video. And so you have to kind of like make it guess how many words is going to fit into these 10 seconds. And maybe while you're figuring that out, Miguel, let me quickly share my screen.
Go ahead.
Because I made a thing real quick here, which is like really funny. That's a sort of quick, it's more or less a proof of concept on, let me find the right screen.
Just a heads up, if you're using Claude ChatBrain, it looks like Claude might be having some issues potentially.
So this is a sort of quick proof of concept agent I made yesterday, where you give it like a video, and I took the liberty of recording a quick screencast of our video here. And you give it this video and it's going to turn it into a David Attenborough style animal documentary. And so you can see it going through these like motions of analyze the media asset, analyze the video content, then it knows what's in the video, and then it's generating both music and speech with ElevenLabs. And I've given it a sort of David Attenborough style voice using this little neat tool here that I've made, which is just searching for ElevenLabs voices. So you can just go David Attenborough documentary, and it'll like just try and find in like some limited database that we've made a voice ID that you can use. And so you can't see that screen that I just shared, but now we can just watch that one that it did, which I think or hope is going to be
Here,
hilarious.
6 males gather at their digital watering hole. Notice the contemplator performing his ritual of deep thought. Remarkable tribal behavior.
And so this one actually,
that's great.
this one actually will, like, it's kind of funny because it demonstrates the problem. So initially it generated voice that was too long, and then it checks automatically how long the voice is, and it's kind of like, oh my god, it's 43 seconds, but the video is only 10 seconds. Let me create a shorter, more concise version. And then it goes and does that until it gets it right, which is obviously the sort of power of the agentic paradigm, is that you're not like in a fixed work loop, in a fixed workflow. Instead, it's going to sort of figure things out because it's intelligent. And then it's combining everything.
Speed parameter for that? Like for the regeneration, you adjust the speed parameter? Is that what you're doing?
No, it's just using fewer words. It could be using the speed parameter. I'm not exposing it here in this tool. I could, but the speed parameter, like presumably for this style of narration, right, where we actually want to have this like very, pensive BBC documentary style voiceover, it would be kind of sucky if it now suddenly talked very fast. It would kill the vibe. But it's like an interesting problem, right? Like you have 10 seconds of video, you need a voiceover for that. I think like I'm going to teach Claude, which is the main engine we're using for our agents, to be better at figuring out how many words it needs. But it's one of the sort of challenges that our agents run into when sort of doing automatic voiceover for the videos that they're generating. And it's an interesting problem.
Super interesting. I wonder, so we've been thinking about this. The only kind of tool that we expose for this at the moment is sort of the speed parameter. And basically you can do kind of a, some math where you regenerate it with a different, factor of speed to sort of condense it into a shorter version. But I guess maybe the ideal experience would be if you put in the length that you want it to be, and then the model actually figures out, okay, can I fit these amount of words into this length, or otherwise return an error, and then I can sort of adjust and retry without like burning credits on the generation.
Yeah. It's kind of like maybe it's an option in the API where it says like, hey, if you want this many seconds, this is probably too long, and you just get like an error.
Yeah.
That could be an interesting one, right? So just based on, because you're gonna get like lots of data on like how much text a specific voice is going to generate within a certain time frame, and which incidentally is one of the things I love about the music API that you all put out. And that's like, it's another agent we can quickly check, because I want to make sure we have like a few minutes to talk about the composition plan stuff, because that is so
100%.
interesting to me. So with ElevenLabs music API, one thing you can do is you can give it like an exact number of, I think it's milliseconds of music that you want, right? Which is very powerful when you're looking to make music for, accompanying a video as background music. And where you don't want to work with like, I have to fade it out or whatever. And so I made like a very quick agent that has this like, I made it look, I told the Vibe CSS thing we have to make it look like a Winamp from the early 2000s. And this one, like, it basically just has a bunch of tools related to the ElevenLabs music. So it has like generate music with ElevenLabs. It can do some images, which is like sort of for testing purposes. And it has a bunch of artifacts that are quite cool, like the prompt explorer that we'll see in a second. So with this one, Thor, I want you to tell me, what kind of music did your band do?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think in the early days we're like very sort of hard rock, and then we realized there weren't any women in the crowd, and so we then shifted to more pop rock kind of music. So, but we're very sort of Arctic Monkeys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blink 182, pop punk, sort of that style.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, let me zoom in a bit so you can see. So I'm gonna tell, I'd like some music that is from a band that used to do hard rock, but now does soft rock. Think Blink 182, Arctic Monkeys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and make the lyrics about how awesome it is to have a state-of-the-art music API. And so this little guy is going to go and first do a natural language prompt that we can just inspect, right? So it gives us 2010s indie rock evolution with soft alternative textures, British influenced melodic guitar work, California funk rock bass lines, mid-tempo groove. So this is kind of like, sorry?
Sounds good, is what I was saying.
Yeah. Now it's going to go and actually generate music with ElevenLabs. And the trick is that now it's applying this very specific format that you guys have come up with for your API. And I'm going to ask it to also give us a little artifact with the prompt explorer. Let me see. This should sort of come up any second now when the agent is done with its summary. So it gives us this like little artifact here where we can, it's not like great because it looks very Winampy as I told it to. So in some sense, I'm quite happy, but we can go in and edit this kind of like prompt. And before we do that, let's listen to it in this Winamp that it spun up for us. It's called API Dreams.
Started with coal and a vision so bright. API calls dancing through the night. State of the art, cutting edge design. Making music magic, one request at a time. This is how we build the future sound. API, spinning music all around. State of the art, breaking the ground.
One thing I still have to teach the music agents is writing better lyrics, because that is one thing they really suck at. But I'm going to get there. I'm on it with Claude, figuring out a half lyrical, half mathematical way to write better lyrics. But yeah, so let's talk about this like format for the prompts, right? Because with most music generation tools, you have this like, you just give it like this natural language prompt, which is cool, right? But you chose to set up this like very specific structure where I can go and say I have different sections. I have a section that I can name verse 1, and I give it like a duration. And then I have positive styles, negative styles. I have lyrics. And all these get combined with the global styles of telling it like indie rock, alternative, melodic rock, and negative prompts. So it gives you like a lot of textual control over how exactly you want this song to sound. And I really like that, specifically when it's paired with this like duration thing, because we can also like let's try the jingle idea. Give me a very, very short 1990s TV jingle for the GlifTV show. It should just have brief singing saying GlifTV. Let's see what it's going to do.
Yeah, it's
because now it's not going to do a whole song. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty. I was just going to say it's pretty wild that it's not just the first kind of serious music API, but it also introduces a new standard of the composition plan, and it's not trained on copyrighted content, all in one go.
GlifTV.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, right?
GlifTV.
Nice.
It's perfect. And it added it to our Winamp as well. So yeah, this is so cool because now like it can go and just do 3 seconds of audio. And a lot of times, like that's exactly what you need. You only want 3 seconds of audio or 6 seconds of audio. You don't want like a full song, as all of these other tools are going to give you. And I absolutely love that. So kudos to the team and whoever on product came up with this specific sort of idea of making it promptable like that. I think it's genius.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
the video
No, I mean,
finally
the
finished.
team is
So-
incredible. Oh,
Yeah, so the video finally finished. We got through the Claude errors. I'm going to go ahead and share screen again.
Let's see
Make sure
it.
I share audio. Let's check out this video, the people in Rome who clean up throw up.
And this is
Thor's
supposed to
voice.
oh.
Yeah, it's going to have Thor's voice. All right.
If you think your job is tough, imagine being a slave in ancient Rome, working at the most lavish, disgusting banquets. They endured this horrific, endless humiliation with no pay and no respect, their existence defined by the excesses of Roman society. These unfortunate souls crawled under tables, cleaning up vomit and refuse, while the wealthy continued to gorge themselves just inches above. This was truly the worst job in history. A human garbage disposal invisible to the elite they served in the shadows.
The intonation is great.
And so that's with ElevenLabs music and, of course, Thor's voice on the ElevenLabs marketplace.
Yeah, so it stitches the voice with the music and makes sure the music is a little quieter. So yeah, pretty cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, we love
awesome.
ElevenLabs. Big fans, as you can tell.
well, yeah, we're big fans of Glif as well. It's really cool.
Awesome. Do we have some questions from the chat before Thor has to go back to his conference? Because I think we're already 5 minutes past the promised time that we've been given.
Yeah,
Apologies
I think
for that.
probably everyone stole our swag at the booth already because I'm not there.
Well, no, Thor, thanks so much for joining us. And it's super cool because every time you guys come out with something new, it just means that what we're able to do gets even better. And
Yeah.
it's great that you guys are like the only audio platform and a high quality one at that offering APIs so that everyone can build with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thor, thank you very much for being here. And I also got to say a personal thank you to you, because I think there's been many times during my time using Superbase that you actually helped me out, whether it was a GitHub issue, pull request, or maybe even Twitter DM at some point. So you did an excellent job helping me out with that. And I'm just excited that you're now at ElevenLabs, even closer to the AI that we're working on at Glif as well. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the kind words. I really appreciate that. I mean, that's, you know, the best part of this job is like being able, you know, to help others to build amazing things. And like, yeah, I love it. I love what you're building. Thanks so much for, you know, using ElevenLabs and showing us all this cool stuff. Love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Well,
Thor.
yeah, I think with that, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thor, let everyone know where they can find you and where they can keep up with you. What platform are you the most vocal on, so that people can just constantly be in the know with all the cool stuff you're doing?
Yeah, no, I'm just at Thor Web Dev. I do mobile as well, but I guess when I settled on that name, you know, I was mostly doing web. So we're stuck with
It's a
it
good
now.
name. It's a
pretty
good
good
name.
for
Yeah.
SEO. Yeah, it works. I'm Thor Web Dev kind of across all the channels. Definitely most active on Twitter. So like, if you want to learn more about ElevenLabs and kind of new features that we're launching, yeah, you can find me on well, I guess X now. Twitter X at Thor Web Dev. Yeah, we have ElevenLabs devs as well, kind of a dedicated Twitter channel for developers building with ElevenLabs. So if you're building with ElevenLabs APIs, do follow us there. You know, share the things you're building. We love to see it.
Awesome. Well, with that, guys, we are the Glif Crew. Join us back here, same time, same place, next Wednesday for GlifTV episode 10. That one is just going to be the crew, and we're going to be making cool stuff and reviewing even cooler stuff. And Thor, thank you so much. You're a legend. Guys, we'll catch you next week, 1 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central European time. And we are out. Follow us on all the things at Hey Glif. If you make something cool with us, please tag us so we can repost it and see what you guys are making with